Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Season 54 3 vs 3 Grand Arena Champion preview for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So it's our preseason episode. I am joined by my co-hosts TJ and Sasha Isha. Dagger couldn't make it today. How you guys doing?
Doing great, Tass. I just want to say thank you for letting us hear you, Tass. You are such a professional entrepreneur. Your sultry sound, your voice is always good to know when you're talking to us so that you can ask us how we're doing. So
especially when I come off of mute on the first take, be like, shit!
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, fantastic. So,
and because Dagger's missing, I feel obligated to say, screw you and your silly hats.
That's right.
So,
yes, he really is with us in spirit.
I do want to comment out, though. It doesn't feel right coming from Sasha. I will take the point of Dagger, and I will try to lighten or change my voice to, your hat is dumb, Tass! Or something like that pulls out the piece, because it doesn't feel right. Sasha is such a lovable guy. For him to say anything disparaging, it feels wrong. So I'll do it.
It's pretty hateful. It's pretty hateful of you, but I appreciate it. And yeah. We're working to fill in the gap. So, it's always our privilege here for this in-between season episode to be joined by a special guest. And it's extra fun for Sasha and I because this is a frequent opponent of ours, none more so frequently than just this last season. It is Zid. You'll see him in game as Brilliant Zid of Amestris. But yeah, Zid's here with us today. How you doing, man?
Oh, hello there, guys. I'm doing fine, enjoying the summer, and ready for some next 3v3 season sweatiness with you guys.
Yes, it is coming soon. All right. Well, we had some targeted questions to you. Pick your brain a little bit before we get into our normal discussion about what we're doing to prepare for the next season. So, just a couple notes. Despite having such a large account, you prefer to go relatively light on defense. And if it wasn't as much of an efficiency meta as it's been, over the last few seasons, would you set more, or is this generally, your preference? Is this how you do it anyway?
Well, I would have to preface this by saying that, of course, I have come from, so to speak, humble beginnings, and right now I'm manning a much bigger account, and my mode of attacking JC has always kind of been the underdog and focusing on efficiency, and more so now with the current meta, where it's not that easy to pull off your backwall trap builds that I dabbled in a couple seasons ago. Before the power creep just came on further with the introduction of Bo-Katan of Mandalore, Bane, and all these crazy non-GL characters who just slaughter the board. And I've been a man of efficiency for quite a while, and I don't really see any reason to change because of the current meta kind of forces you to play that way unless you want to challenge the narrative, of course. But I'm a little sneaky bitch who just likes to cheese. Let's put it that
way. I mean, it works for you. And I say this all the time on my stream. I'm trying to get the dub by any means. So if I think I can do it more that way and win more, then I will. I mean, no hate. Just asking,
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Now, you used to be a part of a brain trust planning for Danos' streams before he stopped streaming here. You find that you're enjoying planning your GAC by yourself, or do you actually have a crew that you plan with?
So I still have a crew in the sense Polo and then some other guys from a Nomad server. I sometimes pick their brain, like Renee as well, and then sometimes, of course, I chat around with people to get a bit of an idea for the seasons about Datacrons and some nifty teams or moddings for some key teams. I'm always down for that. I'm not really that big into planning per se, and most definitely not all alone, because that's half the fun for me and JC. Engaging with the community up here in the top 100 or so in Kyber 1.
That actually brings a great point. And what I wanted to know on is when you face one of the brethren of the top juice or the sweat, right? like you're facing a task or you're facing an ace-up, if you're going into that, because you play the high efficiency, does your game change? Because I know when Tass and I talk and we're doing our plotting or we're trying to bring out something like that, there's so much strategy that goes in, but also at the top, a lot of people have just said, screw it. I'm going to continue my strategy and it's going to work this way, and either I'm going to win this way or I'm going to fail. Do you ever adapt your strategy out depending on who you're going against, or does it always stay the same?
Stays the same for most part, and of course, like case in point last season where Taz, Sasha, and I like faced like multiple weeks in a row. It kind of like felt a little bit awkward to just like continue on the same track. So I did, of course, do some small, minute detail changes, like my Treya team with Savage in the back zone. I put during the final week of 5v5, I put Sith Eternal as the leader, and it did like what I wanted it to. So like it stripped tasks of like 12 banners or something, although he of course one-shot it, but it was like a massive banner bleeder. So sometimes I do pick on some small tendencies and try to hit it where it hurts. But like I don't do like any massive planning, but small things like that.
That's fair. I mean, you probably don't do yourself a lot of favors trying to diverge greatly, you know, from your style. Because if you're an efficiency player, like if you take too many risks, you'll still win the fight, but certainly for less banners than you might otherwise have done, right?
Exactly. And I would say that, of course, sometimes I think about like, okay, I could beat your defense with maybe 2 GLs less on offense or 3. But then I think in my head, like, I project, well, what would Taz do with what he has on offense? Well, okay, if I put Leia, well, he could have used Gigi Stapler. If I did that, he could have done that. And then I just come to the conclusion that nothing would really matter in the grander scheme of things, unless I would go crazy and set 6 GLs or above. And that would put me definitely out of my comfort zone.
Fair enough. Hey, you know what? I just happened to notice that Dagger was able to join. Yeah,
I also want to comment. Dagger, I defended you. We made sure if you weren't here, I would talk for you because I have more of your beautiful personality. Sasha tried to use it. It was horrible. It went bad. He was too nice about it. He tried to call Taz's hat dumb, but it felt wrong. So I just figured I would raise my hand to do it for you. But I'm glad you're here to be able to, you know, do your own thing.
Yeah, the hat's dumb. We can all agree on
Feels
that.
better.
Boy, that was delivered naturally.
Yeah.
That's right.
I tried to say that, and it was voted down as a crime against nature, Dagger. So yeah, that came.
Now we'll let you get in pretty much organically here, Dagger. Did you have any kind of burning question for Zid that we didn't already have written down? We already covered them all since you before you got in. We were just about to jump into the next segment, but I want floor is yours.
Oh yeah, I just had a really quick one. You obviously don't live in the U.S., and we generally, all of us do. How does the GAC open work for you? Like, what time is it for you when GAC opens and closes? When do you usually attack? Does it ever throw a wrench in if it's late at night? How
much do you hate fighting Sasha in the last hour or 2 hours of a round?
Oh yeah, that.
A lot, for sure. Yeah, so the GSC round depends on if we're in summertime or wintertime, but it starts at either 11 p.m. or midnight. So, yeah, it's pretty, like, rough. Like, only if I feel very cheeky do I go, like, immediately, if I'm confident or it's some opponent that just doesn't really matter. But then when it comes to people like Sasha, Taz, and whatnot, I really do adapt over to that. And, like, with Taz, of course, we have this like little gentleman's agreement where I clear his bottom front before he starts streaming, and then we go on from there. But then with Sasha, I definitely wait with him like until the couple last hours because I don't want to give him the leverage to see what to beat because he is a shark. He will kill you.
Extra sweaty. All right, well, let's get into the week 1 preparation. So, just a few days ago, I released the video I recorded with Aesop Rock on Set 15 Datacrons. We're just about a week into this conquest introducing the set. Let's talk about our preparations, and we'll dig more into the Datacrons in a minute. But as far as, you know, going into this season, we have Gungans as the latest faction added. What types of mods are you preparing for the latest teams or any of your latest schemes? What type of sets? You don't have to say who it is if it's type of trick modding, but what type of sets is it from? What kind of things are you looking to shore up? Any key relics you've applied? That type of thing. I mean, we can kick it over to TJ first.
Yeah, week. So I went through like, and I would post it, and I would say, Taz, if we can do it on, I would actually repost your video for the people to be able to find it. So wherever we do, you know, people say they post it wherever. I would definitely do that. I went and took the hour.
I'll put it in the description for this video.
I would.
Yeah.
I would for this one.
Sure.
I went through the hour listening to it. There's a lot of good feedback, and especially getting it from you at the top and getting it from Aesop, who's a god among gods. Today's the Aesop for a reason. He comes by the or Mr. You don't just call him Aesop when you talk to him. Be sure you know this accordingly. But it was a lot of, I think, really good detail that helped me put it out, right? I created a list of what I was looking at because we started writing out bulk is back, right? But it's bulk with offense, crit damage, and especially armor pen and good statted armor pen, right?
Huge amounts, huge quantities of it.
So I kind of wrote out the teams. It's like who really benefited from it. So it's like my teams. Afra's gonna love this set, man. Yes. It's always the kill, and you did it last season when you talked about how is this gonna work out, right? I want to give her this 20%. Well, now they're at 45. Ooh, that's delicious. That's going to be so tasty, right? BT and Dagger had it because you did it first. But, man, it's going to kill a lot of things. Night Sisters are going to love this set. So it's like these are coming back. Tuskens, man. We saw the horror that was Tuskens when they're bulky, and they are back as well with this set. And like I said, I started writing it out. There's a lot, man. So it's like, where am I at right now? I am in Datacron prep. Modding is pretty much set well. It is a build 30 Boltcrons, and let's get to the 9s. And I want to comment, I think Dagger said he did it, and I want to make sure I give the roses where they are. What I've done right now is I've got myself to the end of 4, and I think it is Dagger, man. We talked about this. I'm copying it right now. And I am rolling out to get like 2 or 3 Datacrons per day, and then I'm rolling out to like the 200s to get as much material as I can to build as many. Like I built 3 today, just alone, because you want 30 bulk. Bulk is going to be amazing for when we walk in the door. And between both Datacron sets, it's going to be fire.
Completely fair. How about you, Sasha? Talk. What kind of prep you doing here going in?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I'm doing is really focused around the new Datacron set. I mean, some just looking at what defensive squads I'll use with the expiration of doubt. But, you know, so looking at the factions that are touched upon with abilities, I agree with TJ that, you know, regardless, level 3 fix Datacrons are going to be valuable across the board, but like for First Order, Galactic Republic, I think there's some really interesting things that you can do, particularly with some of those abilities, the level 6s particularly, but also some of the level 9s. So I've leaned in on that. Things like, you know, First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot, it has a really appealing, particularly for offense, level 9 that I had, I think, a level, maybe it was relic 3 or 5, Special Forces, so I moved him up to 7. I have looked at different modding for my First Order squads, just because I think there's, I mean, some remarkable survivability that's given by the long, wordy level 6 for First Order. That, with anything with Slacker, makes them very, very thick. I think there's a lot of potential with Huck sled stuff, just multiple squads, so more viability there. So I ended up, I think, taking Huck to Relic 8. And in terms of just Datacrons in general, I mean, it's a big impactful week. They always do this with Datacrons. The new set comes out as we go into 3s, which is sort of the deepest reach we've all got to make of like having as many Datacrons as possible to cover a 15 squad board. And so I love me some Datacrons. I always go like TJ was saying, like, and I think it's a really smart strategy to go wide on it, to have a number of those level threes. But I've gone both wide and deep, and frankly just gone kind of nuts with it. So I've really enjoyed it. I have done some other stuff on Galactic Republic, but I'm not totally sure how I'm going to use it yet. I did get the Padawan Obi-Wan one, and the true damage that is done by that Datacron is pretty significant. And so it can be nice under JMK, but it's in the back of my mind of like other sort of less common Jedi comps that just call assists a lot. If it has that level 9, I think I've got him relative with that Datacron. He's doing 200k in true damage whenever he's assisting. So I'm excited to find some application for it, but right now it's about sort of getting all the tools in place and then figuring out how to use them after.
Very fair. Yeah. I mean, for my part, is my preparation. So yeah, I do have the Kenobi Cron still working, as you can see on screen here, to get closer off towards trying to have like 14, 15 level 9s going into the week. Hopefully, by the end of this first run, I'll have 30 of the set, but not 30 level 9s. Trying to work in that direction. Just the last couple of days, I've been doing what you were talking about, TJ. I've just been, spending maybe the first 100, like 250 crystal refreshes, just building up some crons, and the rest of that energy through the 200s is like, Sector 4. So I'm crushing this as hard as I can, and that's mostly what I'm doing cron-wise. Character-wise, a couple of changes. Zid actually inspired this. He liked my Talon, and he set. I had one that was in a speed health set. Crit damage triangle, about 10,000 offense, and he took it in a slightly different direction. He went in crit damage with a potency 2-piece, crit damage triangle, offense primary on the arrow and the cross. Just explosive damage potential, and I nearly lost to it. So I was like, yeah, I think I'll have me some of that. So we overhauled for that. I'm gonna try and push this setup to be just over 280 speed, but yeah, crit damage set, 100% potency, and yeah, just almost 10,300 damage. So she's just gonna be clocking people. Have maybe like a Treya Nihilist Talon team in the back type of thing. That might be kind of difficult to deal with the Sith Cron, stuff like that. Bo-Katan, I'm trying to really hit the balance with her. I actually just released a video earlier about how to mod her, and after watching, I was like, I have her about 12,700 offense and 291 speed. I wonder what it would cost me to push her up some more speed. Got her up to 300 at the cost of about 200 more offense, so we're at 12,500 and 300 speed in an offense set, and I pushed up my BAM to 301, so I kind of have that combo available. That's going to be probably not really a 3 versus 3 thing, but it's preparation that'll still work. Either way, those are most of my major items here going into week 1. Dagger, how about you? Hello.
Yeah, I think it's funny how, we all kind of talked about, Zid, Randy wasn't here for that, or Zid. Unclear on what you would prefer to be called here, Zid.
Yeah, he said Zid before we started recording. You didn't. You had just missed that, so now you know.
Okay. My apologies. Okay. So it's funny how we all have the Obi-Wan Cron, after the complaining. We're rewarding bad behavior, all of us. Shame on all of us.
That's right, yeah.
I'll still say fuck you to you for getting it while I have it. I don't mind having a double standard. It's my money. I'll spend it the way I want. You go to your room. I'm gonna go to mine and do what I want.
I gotta say, there were a non-trivial number of people, like in DMs and Twitch chat, asking for me to record a rage video with TJ and Dagger about it. But
I got several DMs, and I brought it up to task because I thought it'd be funny to do. But we ended up not doing it.
Yeah, it's just it sounded like a good way to give myself a headache on something that we were all going to ultimately agree on, and then if we were being honest with ourselves, here we are getting the thing anyway because
I knew I was going to get it, and Dagger's point was still stands valid today. To Dagger's point, we're not going to go down this. I'm not even doing that. Dagger's point was valid and had every reason to show concern, and all he wanted to do was voice that, and that I agree with. So we're not doing that. I want to call it out. I was going to get it the whole time. Dagger was going to get it, and he said it. Tass, we knew you were hopefully going to get it. Everything worked out,
That's
and
right.
Of course you have your Mr. R9 to back you up. He'll make sure you get it. The question of getting it wasn't the place. It was, is it right? And so I'm just going to stand with Dagger on the point of that. The one good thing I think that came from it was a question of being scared. Are they going to do this again to us? I don't see a precedent for them going out and doing, let's say, like the Qui-Gon one, right? Because they gave us in advance of the dropping what's going to come out for this Datacron set. There's never been a precedent that they come in and say, surprise, here's another R9 or level 9. So it's like, at least I think we won't see that, which is nice. So I just wanted to call that. The reason we got
is level 9. Well, the reason, and I'm not saying they won't do this again, and I think Tass was part of the conversation about this too. But one of the reasons why they did this is because Obi-Wan by himself kind of isn't great.
Right.
His kid is so tied to his team.
Yeah.
So this Datacron makes him more useful other places.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, can we really sit here and say historically that they haven't had, like marquees just get released that were, just abandoned lost children for weeks, if not months, to have a team like, we had to.
The last time they did this was Nest. The last marquee they had that was not required for something or had a team was Nest.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying we knew that this character was going to be part of a team, just as we've known for how many marquee releases when they come. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming in tandem with a new Datacron set release didn't mean they had to make that explicit link.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. But anyways, the reason I brought it up was it kind of got us kickstarted on our Datacrons because it kind of gave us I think everyone is just, they took all the bad stats off those Datacrons for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So everyone has a really nice cron. I had to reroll the level 6.
Me too, I think. No.
I think I re-rolled a single stat. I re-rolled like a crit chance, and it turned into crit damage, and I was like, yup, that'll do. We'll have that.
And it was getting a full 3 level 9.
Crit damage. Yeah, the only stats on those crons are crit damage, offense, and armor pen.
Yeah, it is kind of fascinating that there have been a number of times in this game over the years where I've wondered, is CG? Clearly they're running a business that's been quite successful and is well thought out in most regards. But do they really understand the game? Are they totally disconnected from the actual game? And you get these moments where oh, okay. They know what's happening. They clearly understood. Because there are times where I just wonder, does the left hand really know how the right hand's going to use this? And it's yeah. When they care, it shows up.
I don't ever think it's the level of understanding. I don't think it'll ever be the level of understanding. I think it's going to be does it outweigh?
I think there's a fine line, and I think Sasha kind of hit it a little bit. I think they know, air quotes, know what they're doing. But they don't actually understand their actual game.
No, they look at numbers.
Yeah,
they look at the paper, guys. They look at their faces in the graph on the one computer together. They aren't looking at the player's face. They're saying, "How does this look? What does this dividend equal?" And because it's still a business.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that it's pretty clear sometimes. I know Tass and I have kind of gone back and forth on this. It's pretty clear that a lot of the people at CG don't play the game.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. So like what Sasha said, when it counts, they usually get it right. Usually. As far as my prep went, that's why I brought this whole thing up, was that getting one good Datacron off the rip was really nice, right?
That was pretty good.
That was the original reason I brought it up. I'm glad we had the tangent. Don't get me wrong, but getting that first level 9 was super important because I didn't realize how motivating it was to get that. Don't listen to me when I say this, CG. But it was really motivating to get that first Datacron before Conquest. Don't fucking listen to me though.
Degeneracy.
Like what TJ said, it got the juices flowing. It got my mind going. It got my like brain worrying for like now what other teams can I assign Datacrons to?
Yeah.
So
I think Dagger,
really
you just
mindset.
Dagger, I think you just set a speed record of going from soapbox to focus group, of, like all time.
What I love, what feels so good is hearing Sasha get the digs in. This is good. These are good moments. Please record this.
That's
Sasha
right.
talking shit to you, and he did it so eloquently and so well. Again, fuck you, Sasha, for being that lovable. But man, the digs. If Sasha digs in on you on something, you should be offended, and at the same time, feel honored because he doesn't do this, and that was a good one.
Fantastic.
But I feel like sometimes I'm channeling my inner Sasha this Conquest because I've gone through the 200s every day.
Yeah,
Just crushing it.
Yeah.
Nice.
As well as spent some crystals and a bunch of shard upgrades. I think I have 12 level 9s already.
Wow, that is considerable. Nice.
That's awesome.
That is,
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I have like 21 crons. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I hate myself. I hate everything about what this has done to me.
Yeah, you are shameful. You first flip. But it's fair. First you have the flip, and then you have the flop. Flip,
this
then
motherfucker
flop.
is in the level of denial and acceptance all at the same time. Soapbox focus group, right?
Oh,
This dude is over here
brutal.
holding his phone while he's whipping himself in the back for being a fucking martyr. Like,
Yeah,
how can
I
I do
never
this to
wanted
myself?
this.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I never wanted this.
Nonetheless,
So-
you never wanted this particular thing, but as soon as you took the first bite, you were hooked. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Now,
Hey,
Zid.
it's bad, man. I gotta.
No, go ahead. It's bad. You gotta what?
No, it's bad. It's bad that I had to deal with this with Datacrons, and unfortunately, this Conquest has made it so I haven't been able to remod anything. So hopefully, this weekend while I'm sitting on planes and such, because I'm traveling, I will be able to at least get some remodding in. So I still have to do I still have to do the new Obi-Wan we just talked about. I still have to do Gungans.
Yeah.
Because once again, I didn't save my loadout on hot utils.
Shameful.
Shame.
And then I moved stuff to the raid, and then when I put it back, the things I had remodded are gone. Right? So they're like, remod. Okay. Load raid mods. Shit, I didn't save.
Shameful. Man.
All right, that's...
Any other prep you wanted to cover, though?
No, that's it.
Very
Except
good.
remod
Very
stuff.
good. All right, Zid. Now I know you're usually doing something in the background, but that we're a chatty bunch, so feel free to cut it any time. You don't have to wait until I call on you. That said, though, it is your turn to pipe in. I'd like to get the guest opinion at the at the end of each segment, and you can kind of benefit from whatever we've already covered. So how about you? What are you prepping here for the first week?
Oh, I've been prepping Jar Jar Binks finally for Relic 9 because of the clause that the shield generator will get those extra stacks per each 3 relic level, so that's a big one for me. And then I've been prepping Padawan Obi-Wan's mod set, and for now I just push raw offense, and I'm trying to hit 11k before the lock of 3v3, and I might add him actually on perhaps my Keller and Beck team. We shall see. We shall see.
Very good.
And
I like that. I like that combo.
yeah, and then for
I won't like
Galactic
facing
Republic-
it, so no, thank you. But yeah, it's pretty great.
I will
you're
like
gonna be
watching it.
facing it.
I would like watching it. So please, by all means, set that shit and let me just learn. Because where I'm at, for a little fellers,
Man, can
for
you
a little
imagine?
tink tink.
Kellerin, this new Padawan Obi-Wan, and like Ahsoka, just a nightmare of assisting.
Yeah, bunch
It's
of
just-
assisting.
Oh,
Dude, it's gonna be haywire what you can do and the way you can split this stuff off. Having Galactic Republic, having Jedi, having Sith, having Darkside Bulk, it's like all these massive factions that are all getting benefits, and the way you can split them out and play with the toys is nuts.
Yeah, perhaps even giving a precedent for putting down some different kind of defense and pure cheese, perhaps.
I don't know if it's cheese though. This is the thing, right? People will call it cheese, but it's gonna literally just eat all of your lunch.
Well,
No. He's saying that
I
this
think
is
Randy's
incentive to
no.
not cheese. That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Randy's saying that yeah.
But I'm taking it from the other side of it, right? Is that the amount of stuff being ate up? It's like defense is definitely playing a big part, and switching one thing up has a big effect right now. Putting down one team, you can put one team down and play with it in 3 to 4 different ways every week, right? So every fight and every week, you can change one thing, and that changes your fight. Like there's one I was bringing up. The Dagger's gonna love it. What I think is back, and what I'm gonna call it, because I know we'll come back to it, is First Order TIE Pilot. It was a 3s Omicron, and First Order are back in charge. So getting a super fast Hux in there to have this built on these stats, I think are going to be a fun one to play with. And
How
what's going to
fast
kill.
is super fast? We talking like 330 plus? What are we dealing with?
What you want to be is the 100 speed above what it would be for Mara Jade. So if Mara Jade is, that was always the rule of thumb for me. So whenever we're saying that, I think it's 370 or something like that. So you want him to be upwards of like, I took my fastest set, so he would be 371 or whatever it was. I always wanted him to be a minimum of 1 speed faster because you can't gain the turn meter, and that was always my rule of thumb when it came to a Hux lead with First Order TIE Pilot.
Interesting. Wow, so his speed is literally 371 in game right now. That's crazy.
And then you get the 100 speed, so he's 471. Here's the other piece I'll add, and I saw your video where I'm going to mention this. Go read that Fost level 9. It will make your Hux the monster hitter. You don't need the added speed, because what the Fost does is it gives it to his lead. Tie in that build to give 50% to your Hux. Hux's basics are already getting ramped damage on a team that's getting offense and armor and all these stats. Hux will literally start piling people down. Pop, pop, dead, and everything that's happening because they can't go anywhere. So it's just the ways this is going to work, and what you're going to see. First Order in 3s are going to be a lot of fun.
I like that, because then you can still have like slacker crew.
You got it. Old school
FOSF.
crew lead teams. You did it yourself. Old school crew lead teams on bulk, dude. Right? It's like the bulk. And think about this. Where does Malicos go? He loves some UFU stuff. Crew. Think about a crew, Malicos, and put, I don't care, Xylo on the team. On a team that's pushing through people. Dude, it's wild. It's exciting to see where Dagger called out he hated bulk on bulk stats. Now you have bulk on slappy stats. So big explosions on people with big numbers. And how does this impact? And are we going to see in the back an old school like Hux lead, red crew? Are we going and then something else with like SLK, because SLK is like an absolute devastator on a multitude of teams. That's what I would want to ask. Like what you guys think, but it's like playing with the 3s and then having all these crons at your disposal. Whew, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm thinking like even that what you just mentioned as a double Kylo team with like Malicos. Like Malicos would benefit massively from just like adding extra offense and armor penetration to that guy. He's just gonna delete people.
And you're getting the additional stats. If you keep him on a dark side team, getting 15% protection and 50% health to Malicos, who's already a monster, and then saying, here, while you're at it, I think you might need 400% armor pen. And then we like the fact that you love stats and you want to take a million turns. Let me give you, on top of that, 60% offense. It's like, dude, just knock it off. Stop killing all of my teams. I want to play the game. It's just awesome.
And a dangerous team that I think I'm going to start using for this upcoming 3v3 season should be SLKR with the First Order Special Fighter TIE Pilot Kron, because there's a clause that TIE Pilot cannot be defeated if SLKR is alive. So that's a pretty guaranteed way of having the enemy most likely focus on the TIE Pilot, not be able to kill him, and at the same time you'll be able to undersize and probably beat most of the teams, if not all of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid one. The restoration part of that is just nasty.
So crazy, man. So crazy.
If you get the long text, you can like restore your banners, and you can just like go for like, what's it gonna be, like a 58, I guess, if you get max banners with a 2-man in 3v3.
Yeah, I think
something
so.
like that.
Yeah, +1, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that. TJ, I know you wanted to highlight another team. Did you already cover it here a second ago, or was there one other thing?
It was Hux, because Dagger has shot me down as the murderer of his Omicrons when I sold him on First Order TIE Pilot. So it's like, bitch, he's back. So now you're welcome.
Nope, he's still stuck.
Well,
No, he doesn't. Suck a dick. He'll work.
Is the Omicron actually good with a GL? I just for some reason reflexively I'm thinking it doesn't do anything.
First Order TIE Pilot. No, I'm saying you put Hux super fast with his lead with a First Order TIE Pilot right now in 3s. It's basically a 3s cron, and that's how you build it.
Well,
so that's what I'm saying.
You mean FOTP, not FOSF?
No, I'm saying that you put FOSF. You put the
Special
tank with Hux and FOTP. I'm saying with the tie-in of what you're doing, giving him the additional 100 speed, First Order TIE Pilot will work better here with this bulk setup and that amount of offense and armor pen.
And I see. And you're going to do a Stormtrooper level 9. And are you going for the level 6 long text?
You got it.
That sounds fun. No, that sounds really fun. This is why I'm
saying that. And that's why I was saying Dagger commented, and he was right for a long time. But this is a 3s team. Don't get me wrong. Don't think it's going to be like, we're going back to 5s. No, you're not, asshole. This is 3s, but make your Hux super fast. Like I told you, you said 371. Perfect. That's a 471. It's good. Dagger's dumb. And he has a smelly hat too. But it's going to be good. And that's what I think is going to be awesome is that this is split off, and I think we'll see some fun things to work with First Order.
Wow, what a stretch goal. I mean, I'd have to take a look. It would be a Herculean effort for me to get him to be that fast.
Is that possible? 370
yes.
plus?
It's whatever it is. I just can't remember what I would do. I would take my set
to be
from like
70 Mara Jade, you got to get to 340.
There we go, 340. Thank you. I can't remember the number, but you needed to be
even that
one faster than Mara Jade, and it would basically beat everything. And then you would have the 440 or whatever it was going to be. But you just need to be faster than Mara Jade was the old school rule. I think it still works here because the Kron holds all the weight for the damage that's being done. You don't need to build it into his mods now.
Yeah.
Just you can make them blazing fast. And because FOTP will help carry the team with the foresight and everything else, there's things that are being done that you can work with.
So TJ, how do you make your First Order special? How do you make your TIE Pilot 450 speed?
You don't need to make him that fast. You need to make Hux is the only one that matters to control the fight.
How do you make Hux that fast? Like what's the speed? What's the speed? No, but what's the speed number you need? Because Mary Jade's in my neck of the woods, and I'm only in like the 1-200s right now, climbing my way back up.
So
they're 370 plus, 380.
So
what would it be?
100
it's plus 100, right? That's
right,
what I'm looking at.
I know. But Mary Jade gets plus 70. But Mary Jade gets plus 70.
So if she's 370, that's 440.
Yeah. So what is if you're 345? What is the plus to be 345?
I mean, Hux needs to be about 340.
Yeah, he's asking you just to state for the record, what's the commit speed, like the plus speed you need to slap on?
Where I would want to be at would be so if she's getting to 340, let's call it 341 for good measure.
It's 100. It's 177 speed. Okay. It's 177 speed. You need to
I don't know the number. I can tell you his base number. That's what I looked at.
That's what I was asking. I was asking what is the commitment for speed set that you need on Hux for that?
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Is it really? Because you don't need the other stuff behind it.
I'm not going to do that.
I wouldn't be doing it.
That's fine, but you don't need the other stuff behind it.
His base speed's like 140 something, right, Sasha? His base speed's relatively slow, isn't it? You're not getting a lot of help from his base.
No, I respect you doing it, T. Please don't misinterpret my I don't think I'm willing to do that as I think that's garbage, because I think it sounds great. Like it would cost me more than I'm willing to
it's garbage.
You can think it's garbage.
I'm contractually obligated to say that anything First Order only related is garbage, so I'm going to continue saying that. But I do appreciate that TJ is still trying to make fetch happen.
Dagger's just a hater and always has been.
Yeah, he will hate.
Hate.
I am still mad about that. It's
gets
like
used
2
right now.
years, and I'm still mad about that.
It's got use. It's got legs. I would just say give it a try.
That's right. It's time has come.
Yes, for right now, for 4 months, yes.
I'll look at updating his mods, but I don't think that's a number I'm going to be hitting anytime soon.
Honestly, if you want the rule of thumb for me, I took a character I won't be using that has that level of speed, and I just swapped the mods. Because the great thing about the Kron is I don't have to look at all these special things for him to do. I just need him fast. The Kron is going to hold all of the weight that I need for it to work, and tied into his basics, which are really, really strong. When he hits you with the basic, or anybody on his team under his lead, is really cool.
Yeah, brutal
so it's just,
damage, right?
TJ, are you thinking for this to be specifically something you plan for 3v3 or also
Yes.
5v5?
No, you do not do this in a 5s team. Please, by all means, don't think this is a 5s thing. The FOTP Kron it's like Tuscan's Kron. It's a 3s team you're going to do. You're only fighting 3 characters. They will love you for doing it. Do not think you're doing this for 5s. 5s is a different ball game and a different conversation.
And is Starkiller like your main counter, or what else are you planning
Now,
to
anywhere
counter
that they're
with
going to
it?
try to go in front of you, if this works out right and what I think is going to happen, I'll you know me, I will test it out. Obviously, it won't be like I'm not fighting Tass, I'm not fighting you, I'm not fighting Sasha, or even Dagger. But I think the way is there.
Without red, my only worry is without red, you have no damage. Because even the FOT,
I still think you can use red too. Red was always the classic butter, and I don't disagree.
No, but if you're using
red, you use boss.
Yeah.
No, I think boss is cool and to do, but I like if it goes back to the classic, which is just red on the team because that's the third and that's the ultimate. It still works. I just want to see what to try. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, now, what you might have just stumbled in there, though, as a final note on this point, I think what you might have just stumbled in there is a very potentially clean offense, right? Hux,
oh, absolutely.
FOTP and red, like that is. I mean, it's a classic that we used a long time ago, but yeah, I'm not usually. I haven't thought about it in a long time. That can be very effective against a number of things. We'll have to see about that.
I think it's also funny just note that your damage dealer is actually FOTP.
Yeah, because to quote one of my kids, the FOTP Omi is doo-doo crumbs.
Okay.
It's just because Dagger doesn't know how to play Star Wars. It's fine. We all have rules of the limitation.
Yeah.
That's right. I went to the salty shit, dude. I said about your mom, but you suck at Star Wars. And it's like, you know what? Now we're gonna fight.
You sure that's the only thing it sucks?
All right, it's time for them to square up. They're pulling the A shirts up over their heads. That's right. Here we go.
Super salty. You can talk about my mom. You can talk about my mom, but you don't talk shit about my Swiggo skills. That's where you've gone blind, sir.
All right, I don't want us to linger because we still have quite a bit to get through, guys. I want to keep the flow going. Now, we went round robin there just because it makes sense to go one at a time to discuss our prep. But from here on, let's more or less just keep it conversational whenever you want to cut in. That said, Set 13 and Doubt are gone. What other major shifts in the meta do you think you're going to be focused on here going into week 1?
Well,
I can speak for myself, and now I have to oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'd certainly say that the biggest change for me would be how I treat Dark Trooper Moff Gideon for the time being. Like, he kind of...
It's crazy.
He's going to fall off for me. Like,
and
pretty
Saw,
heavily.
Surely.
Oh, yeah, and Saw as well. Like, there's not going to be anything going on there on those two teams.
Yeah, they're going to get the Tarful treatment. They're going to go back on the shelf, get some dust for a while.
Does DTMG really get that hard a treatment?
Not really, but they're not doing what they're not going to do what they used to do.
Yes, I totally concur, but it's like he's really good.
It's still going to be Trey Savage. It's still going to be Trey Savage. It did before the Kron.
But this is my thing, right? Here's the second piece, and I love the fact that DTMG brought out. You have Gidme again. We are back to the Gidme, folks. Gidme was a monster. I know we have Padme Kron, and I know there's pieces to talk about it, but I wrote it down like, oh man, we have Gidme again on a build where this is like we love helping. I'm like, ooh, and you don't need the OG Gideon for the DTMG team. If you're gonna have a TM gaining team, DTMG is gonna love it, and he doesn't need to have the other pieces to make that still work really well in a bulk place with offense and armor pen in the back end. That feels really good for DTMG.
Armor pen in the back end. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I will say is that as someone who got maybe a little complacent with the protection recovery the last few months because Doubt existed, where it's like, all right, well, I can't gain protection, so let's just end the fight. Got to go back to our roots, if you will, where we're like, all right, how do we get 57s? Because these 54s are no longer acceptable, because the only reason they were acceptable was Doubt.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
So got to relearn good habits because I know I myself have fallen probably out of good habits when it comes to JML calling Hoda or like cycling Hoda for one extra turn to get that. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. I know I'm probably rusty
with
when
your
it
food.
comes to.
And yeah, I mean,
I know I'm probably rusty when it comes to that.
I think it's fair. Like we're hitting it, obliquely, but yeah, we might as well just hit on it very clearly that with doubt gone, we can get a lot of banners back and turn meters back on the menu, boys.
Yeah.
Just loops are back in business.
Right, it's like the buffs are back, boys. We can actually get the buffs we deserve now. We don't have to wait a couple turns
and for these last couple months of heartlessly robbing your Admiral Piet away from the Imperial troopers to use with Lord Vader or whatever else you had in mind.
Ooh, that's true.
He can go back home now. It's his time.
He does love him. He does love him some durability in a fight. He's built on hope and
also
no, only rebellions are built on.
First off, yeah, I was like, first off, that's the wrong faction. But second, I will say this too. Another really cool thing that, well, depends on which side of the coin you fall on. Night Sister suck again. Woohoo!
I don't think so.
Oh
man, doubt. I'm just saying, doubt carried. Like, as someone who uses Night Sister to punch way up.
Oh, that was such a good resistance killer. I am gonna miss the times where it's like I don't know what to use against Zori, and it's like, well, you just use your Night Sisters, and it was true when Dagger called it out. That was my reliable 65 and 5s. Because it's like whatever level you put on,
even in 3s.
Once you understood the fight, and I think that was the key piece. If you didn't play it dumb, as Dagger would say, if you understood the fight and what it was doing, it was a reliable 65. Reliable. Because once I changed literally a couple of moves, every time it worked out no matter what you were trying to do. Let's go 5 minutes. Let's go 4 minutes. I know where I'm going to end at. And eventually you just pile on the plague and they just go away. And then you time your 65. And it worked. Clockwork. Yeah. That doubt was amazing to that. And that I will 100% agree with Dagger on.
Fair.
And like one thing which made it so easy is the Sasha Omicron, where you also apply healing immunity on the third, which blocks the health steal. Locks in the plague.
But yeah, to even extrapolate further, because Tass said it, turn meters back on the table. That includes your opponent's defense teams.
Yes, yes. And I guess to your point, though, Zid, DTMG, yeah, actually, we might have discounted him prematurely. With TM back on the menu, he's like, okay, fine. Bring me your greatest. Bring me your worst. Yeah. I will devour them equally.
He loves a long fight. That's what's cool about him. He loves a long fight. He's okay with it going the distance because you're continuing to gain.
He just loves turn meter manipulation. Do it to him. Do it to yourself. He's just, licking his fingers.
Yeah.
And the more specialties uses, the more defense they stack, which they turn into offense already. And like TJ said, bulk is gonna make fights last longer. And DTMG wants fights to go 3.5, 4 minutes.
That's it.
It's true.
That's it.
He is stacking. He is a stacking beast.
It depends. Like it brings up the question, like how cheap can we go? Because otherwise, I'm most likely will just default back to using Malgus against him or something along those lines. Especially Malgus with bulk will dunk really hard.
I don't know if you want Malgus with the bulk.
I was thinking
Malgus
offense.
with the Sith.
Yeah, I think we were implying offensive usage because we know people will be doing turn meter related stuff. Like nobody was setting turn meter related defenses because you could trivialize it with a level 3 Datacron.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't see him being on defense. I agree. Right, the whole team of you want to put Kim. It's like, but on offense, you're gonna try to put these shits back on. It's like, all right, that's cool. You're gonna play with them. DTMG just thinks that's bread and butter. We're good.
And
I also think Night Sisters takes care of DTMG to a degree. So like, don't place it.
I can see that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I can see that.
You're taking me back. Yeah.
And I have a jab at Sasha here.
Ooh.
So Sasha, remember how you were one of the first guys to start using BAM against Tuscans when the BAM Crown became like a thing. Well, now with BAM Crown gone, what shall we do with those pesky Tuscans?
They're a lot more than pesky. I hate to tell you, they don't need this special Crown. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Tuscans are on the menu, boys.
Freya with both.
Offense or defense, man. Tuscans.
No.
Freya with bulk will do it. Yeah.
No. Sasha, I got your answer. Treya with bulk tells it to shut up. Shut up.
But you've only got so many trails.
Bam, just punch it.
Yeah, you've only got
I
so
have
many
a related
trails.
question. One thought would be gas, which is a pretty bloody battle. Like, it definitely costs you banners. But do you guys happen to know, for the GR damage reduction, when a player has, when a character has dots on it, and that they take the damage at the beginning of their turn, it does not reduce, or does it reduce?
It does not reduce.
Okay.
In my experience,
No. When you're at 0 TM at the beginning of your turn,
it counts as 0, not 100. That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Wait, does it?
That's what happened last time we had damage reduction on level 6, was that when people take their turn and damage occurs, like,
it counts having 100%.
Yeah, that's like 100%.
It counts having 100% then.
Yeah.
Oh.
There was some bug.
So it does
There was
count
some
having
bug,
100%.
actually. Yeah, because there was a bug. Because like it's supposed to be 75% reduction, but there was some bug related to turn meter that the reduction almost reduced like the damage to like 0, which was nonsense. So we'll see if they have fixed it.
Yeah, that might be worth testing out in Squad Arena or something against an LV squad if I can find one, because that would make a difference. It would make a like typical Gas 501st more appealing, because I'm with you, Zid. Like those Tuscans, that was my comfort blanket, was having the BAM thing in my pocket, and like with the wrong counters left, and you run into Tuscans in the back wall, it can be so frustrating. It's an awful experience. And we also lost one of our, I guess it could be, there's a Jedi cannot revive level 6 from 14. Maybe there's an opportunity to do something there.
Well, and you know how gas, I mean, without like this Jedi-Cron, can lose against Tuscans, like straight up, but with the 100%, I think if you're deciding to save gas for that purpose, I do expect you would crush right on through using a set 14.
I think it's wild right now.
Yeah. How about this, guys? Set 15, you know, we just happened to organically more or less cover the crons that we were focusing on picking up here for this first week. But I think something of note that folks at home will really take value from is for those who don't go too deep on datacrons. Maybe you're only going to pick up a couple in the whole set. But maybe now is the time for you to strike, because if you're going to have a couple good ones, you would want to have them as soon as possible and enjoy the benefit of them as long as possible. So what do you guys see as the must-haves for going into this week?
Padme, SLKR, or the TIE Pilot level 9.
I like Dagger said it great. I will stick to it. I've heard Aesop say it, and I've seen multiple people say it, and I agree. This feels like the set of double duty. And what I mean by that is you build a Special Forces one, you build an SLK one. You can play with the food or how you want to do it. They change it. They work in different places. But I think you want a double duty. Just like you want a Padme one, I think you want... What was the other Galactic Republic? There was one other one. It'll come back to me. It's just like the Gungans. With the Gungans, and I saw you do it in your video, I think it's a great call-out, Boss Nass and Jar Jar. But it's right. This is the double duty set, and that doesn't even go to TW. So to your point, in keeping it specific, I agree. I think you want both Special Forces and SLK. SLK is a minimum, because that, as we've all seen, all the videos, it kills literally fucking everything. It's just the destroyer of destroyers. I think Padme is really awesome on what it's going to do. And then third or ninth, I know that's the back and forth. I would probably say third has more viability from the Inquisitor side. And then Gungan just gets you in either a Boss Nass or a Jar Jar just for week 1 if you've got the team.
Very good. What about the rest of you guys? What do you think of the must-haves?
Yeah, I like if I were looking at only having a few, then I would put some prioritization on getting the right level 3. You know, like if I was just going to have like 5 or 6 datacrons, it's probably a set where I would go wider rather than deeper to start with. And then if I was going to look for anything, it would be the right... Well, there's one level 6, the wordy one for First Order. Getting one of those that can make any First Order team, I think, much more formidable. And then for Galactic Republic, there are two. It's either the wordy one for Galactic Republic, which includes protection disruption, which is really impactful in threes. To have like a third of the opposing team having no protection is a difference maker, or the damage reduction from there. And then like the nines, I think everybody's called out if you get there. But if we're talking about you're going to be really select going into a first week, that would be my approach.
And do you think that there's, if you can go for just one, what's the, like, if you had to just try and get one across all the factions, what would the level 9 be?
Yeah, if I had to get one across all the just factions, because it's an efficiency meta and it's just being able to win one battle on defense or having one thing that you can just guarantee a get out of jail free card on offense, it would be either Slicker or the Special Forces TIE Fighter pilot, just because I think that makes a First Order squad like an easy offensive win, is my impression. So I would take that, and Padme would be second. Close second.
Very fair. I mean, for my part, if it was just one cron for me, I think it would have to be the Special Forces. I like the two-man potential of it. And, you're thinking it's like, yeah, it's two-man, but he's going to get beat up. It's like, well, we'll see. We'll see how long we can control the fight to try and, restore him through this cron. We'll find out. But it's just a huge booster to Slacker. And, yeah, I think it's the one that I most certainly desired. Padme is good, though.
Well, hold on really quick. In 3v3, the Slacker L9 does more damage than the Special Forces L9.
Yeah? I think that's fair. I eventually wanted to get.
Yeah, I'm with Sasha that if you could pick exactly one, it would be just the SOKR level 9, because he will kill everything. He's already 3v5ing GLs. Like, I went to the squad arena, 3-man, did a stab and then a swipe, and the whole Leia team was dead.
Dang.
I do think the SOKR would be the way to go. I've watched it work with the long wordy one, and that level 6 with the defense up to the offense is nut. It's like,
oh yeah, for burst, almost unrivaled.
It's just what it does. As long as you've got SOKR level 9, if we're going one, that with any level 6 is just crazy with the set. So SOKR would definitely feel like the winner out of all winners.
For me, it's SOKR because. SOKR, I haven't been able to 3-man consistently just because they have too much damage. But this JMK cracked cron, I'm still like undermanning with Slacker.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Slacker level 9 it's not the best cron in the set. It is not. That would be the Padme cron. But if you could only have one, it would be the one that kills the one data cron that kills them all.
Very fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And if you're my opponents, you should get the Luminara one with the offense pen up at the end of turn level 6. No bulk level 3 necessary. That's the only one you should get.
Dagger's a helper. He's helping you all out.
Well,
and now you know.
Are you gonna sell them lube as well before you fuck them?
Terrible.
No, that cost. Yeah, I'm gonna charge them extra for the lube.
I gotta admit though, for Luminara, I'm bummed, man. I'm guessing some of you guys too. I have the Luminara Omicron, and I'm like, for God's sakes, I've just been waiting for that thing to be relevant. Now she gets a Datacron, and it's frigging
seriously
it's not awful, but it's no good.
How tone deaf? How tone deaf?
It is such a sad state, dude, because I've heard Dagger talk about it so many times. It's like he wants it to be good. He thought Beck, right? He thought Beck was his saving grace. It works. It's gonna do it. And then they fucked him. They just.
But then Luminara's code. But then Luminara's code is the same as Stormtrooper Han's code, where it only works if it's her protection up.
Yeah, it's
Stormtrooper Han only works against his con.
It's such a sad state of affairs. It's Yoda lead, dude. It's Yoda lead. You use it because it should be so good, but they won't give it. Yeah. It's like the one they built that's going to be good 2 years from now, right? 2 years from now, they're going to build the team that's going to finally work for Lumi's lead or Lumi's Omi, and that's the one that's going to be. It's like, it took you this long, guys, to put it together. It is a sad state for what should be a really awesome cron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not even sold that CG doesn't understand that CG I remember when the Stormtrooper Hunt thing came out with Watt, and CG's like, "Oh, really?" I feel like this Luminara thing not working with Beck. If you told CG this, they'd be like, "Huh." Right? Like, I don't think that they. I think that they made this character so long ago that when they made these characters, they were made a specific way. Right? Like, I don't think, and the people that made this code don't work there anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be the rework that's gonna say, and now it does what it's supposed to do. That's the feature.
That's what I mean.
That's exactly right, TJ. And what that translates into is they can sell it to us twice. And I'm not saying that
then I have to buy it, right? For all the people that caught before, they'll be like, "I got it now, haha! I beat you to it." And it's like, well, that's fine. I just waited my 20. I'll just use it now.
Yeah.
Sasha, you know, actually, one thing with that level 9. At least Luminara will take a turn now. When she dies, she gets revived.
True.
Yeah. God, what a sad state.
Hey, look.
Womp womp.
Narrator, and they were sad.
Yeah.
Now, we got some faction-specific questions here, guys. Gungans. So our expectations and possible 3v3 compositions. So I want to see up front if we can just come to agreement on one point. There is only one Gungan 3 versus 3 team, right?
Agreed.
Like we can argue about which 3 members go on there, but there is no such thing as a second viable Gungan team. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So moving on past that, of course we're going to have Boss Nass and Jar Jar. So who you guys thinking is your third? And how are you going to use it? Is this defense or offense for you? You know, what do you feel? What do you think? Because I can kick off here.
I can do just spoiler for Zid and Tass, bottom front on my defense, because I do think it's still like uncharted territory how they'll perform, certainly in threes, but with the new Datacron, and I think they're going to be really formidable. And I would expect to put Phalanx. Like, I mean, we've all now had some experience going against them, and it's about, can you get to the generator? If you don't have a tank there, it makes the generator far too accessible. Okay. So it's got to be Phalanx, I would assume.
But if it's offense,
it really
Phalanx. Is it Phalanx for offense?
Hold on. It really boils down to, is your plan for your opponent to time out? Because if that's the plan, the tank is the right answer. Tarpal's kit is specifically like tailor-made for 3v3. He will be the one that gets called to assist by Boss Nass, right? And by Jar Jar. He will be the one that gets called. So there will be a lot of damage on that team. But to Sasha's point, you have to go through the shield generator. But with the Boss Nass-Cron, you have to do it twice. So I think on defense in 3v3, I'm going to start with Tarpals as the third with the Boss Nass-Cron.
Yeah, I like the Boss Nass. I was going to say that myself. I mean, for offense, it would seem far and away Jar Jar.
I'm not disagreeing with Sasha, though. I'm just saying that's where I'm starting.
No, fair enough. But yeah, on offense, I was thinking like Jar Jar level 9 would be neat. Boss Nass seems like far better a choice to go on defense. So I think we're...
In threes. In fives, I don't think so, because in fives, you just have the team together for the full synergy. Yeah. In threes, Boss Nass respawning that shield generator is just a timeout risk.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
really feel like if you're doing a defense, you're doing Phalanx. If you're doing an offense, I agree with Dagger. I think that Tarpals is such a money maker.
I'm saying Tarpals on defense. I'm saying Tarpals on defense.
I just think it's Phalanx on defense, because if he's built right to continue to disrupt your ability to mess with that generator, and if you do it twice with the Boss Nass-Cron, and that's flexing around, continue to move shit, and then you have the death mark that you can't bypass for whatever reason or whatever it's doing with Jar Jar.
Getting juggled on those two.
Being able to do that, and then you're just never getting the team, that just feels really risky. But I think to your point, Dagger, when you want to play with the fight and your food, I think Tarpals is a moneymaker for the offense side of things. I don't think you need Phalanx, because you're moving so many times. The generator's not going anywhere and can go fast enough. So it's like, I feel like Tarpals is your offense builder.
But if you put the Phalanx there, we could all agree that you were giving up any pretense of trying to win that fight. You are only trying to time them out, and you're putting up absolutely no fight.
Well,
except
you tell me if you go up against one on defense. If you're on offense, you go up against it after 5 minutes if you felt like you won that fight. Because I don't think it'll feel... I don't think it's going to feel great. The one thing about Tarpals that I wonder about is because I agree. I mean, it's really like that's going to do some damage. It's gonna really I think tear up most squads that attack it. Except the thing that comes to mind, this is like less than fully baked concept, but like the Galactic Republic level 6 that reduces damage from out of turn attacks is going to mean that Tarpals is doing 1 damage consistently and creating tons of protection up, right? So like I think there's going to be a Galactic Republic counter to it that is at least prior to this that we would have thought of as surprisingly cheap. That's my gut.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just thinking in my head that like I'm already thinking in my head of like a couple things that already beat Gungans.
Is it?
And I don't know if the third matters, but if the third does matter, it's not the Phalanx.
Can I ask you what they are, or are you trying to save it for the back pocket? And I'll ask. This is the reason I'm asked why. So specifically towards Gungans, and specifically with the new build, are there teams you're wanting to hold, and because that you want to keep it that way, Dagger, or can you share with the people? And there's a reason I'm going to ask you why, right? For a team, because and here's my point of my question. That may be something in 5s, but if you have a fast NAS with the fast Jar Jar who's consistently rebuilding your generator with the right Omicron, which is like you have a Relic 9. So Zid talked about it. He's building up a Relic 9 Jar Jar. I've already got mine at Relic 9 because of the generator being built, right? Now you build in this bulk behind it. Are there teams you're thinking of when you only have 3 characters that are trying to attack this generator who's going to go a whole bunch and stay there, and Boss Nass who's going to restart it? Or do you think these teams will? Okay, so you still think it'll still work in 3s like it would in 5s because even with less characters.
One is Mulgar ISC. That generator's dead in like 2 turns.
Okay.
Like that thing will just kill that generator so fast. Maybe 3 turns.
And then now it comes back again, and you have to do it again. And you're saying that's still okay with only 3 characters.
I'm just saying that's one that I'll give you. There's a couple others I think that are a little cheaper.
Okay.
But that's one that I think will melt the shield. I don't know if it'll beat the actual Gungans, right? But it will crush the shield generator.
My only problem with that is it killing it twice?
Once the shield generator's gone, they're pretty fragile.
Absolutely.
Probably.
But is it killing it twice, and is it killing it fast enough where they're also bringing the generator back and continuing to give it more? That's my point.
Well,
of where
also
I think
the generator is smaller in 3v3 too.
True. That's all. Is it though? Because you're still getting, what is it per Jar Jar? 2 for each 3 relic levels.
6 extra, 6. You're getting like 6 extra stacks. But my point is, like, I've gotten 4-man Mandos to work versus a 5-man Gungan team pretty easily in Arena. Now that's no Omis.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is like, I think the generator's on borrowed time. Anyway, I'm not here to litigate the whole thing. I'm just saying, like,
no,
I think
just wanted to ask.
To Sasha's point, I don't know who the best third is, but I'm just trying to think of. And Sasha's right that there's probably something that comes out that we didn't think of that somebody smarter than me is going to figure out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I'm sure Sasha's right on that. I'm just saying I plan like. And Sasha's also right when it comes to if that clock hits 0, do you feel like you won? And my whole thought was, I don't like the idea of timeout teams because if my opponent just overkills it, like, what are you doing? And if Tarpals, and I feel like that's what's going to happen week 1. I feel like everyone's just going to overkill it. And if that's going to be the case, I think having no damage on the team means you don't strip any damage.
Yeah, but to paraphrase Pirates of the Caribbean, you best be starting to believe in the bulk meta. You're in it.
Yeah. Well, and Dagger's always hated it for a good reason, and that's where we're at right now. He hated bulk on
meta.
Bulk.
It has returned.
But Jar Jar, their team is so unknown. The kit is so roll the dice, boys. Let's see what we get.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And your fight, what's crazy we think about, right, is like, this counter looks good in a fight. Well, what if Jar Jar knocks Deathmark on everybody, and everybody just pooped? Right, because it hit the 1% and the perfect thing. It's like, how did this fail? And you try to go look at the data, and the data is not 100% because roll of the dice. What happened during the fight? And that's where it's like, I think the Phalanx holds because we just during the team, your Dagger's right with no damage, but if Deathmark hits everybody, well, shit, that sucked.
Yeah.
Also, just a PSA to everyone: if you're not familiar, there's like a 1/1000% chance that, or 100% chance that something happens. But if there's a separatist on your team, on the other team, and it's not a full team, it means if you take GBA or Watt as just a support piece, it still counts.
Yeah.
So just a PSA to not take one of those separatist support pieces when you're going against the Gungan team, because I don't know how bad you want that like non-existent event to go to 1 or 10%, depending on which ability we're talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be nuts, dude.
But I'm not risking that. I'm not risking that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
You
be
shall
there.
be removed from the game. That's what
I'm still
Jar
waiting
Jar
to
will
see
do.
that the mystery of the case of the missing character experience. Of
That's
what
right.
we used to-
Oh,
what the
that's
hell
right.
happened.
I'll see if I can dig up the screenshot, but I did see one, Sasha. Somebody fighting against
yeah?
Gungans. Yeah, they chose the GL though, so it's only 70k damage.
Yeah.
But there's just this like white 70k damage to the GL, and it's like, what?
What was
he's like,
that?
What is this?
Oh,
Because the screenshot was like, what is this? I just saw this
the
on
mythical
my
proc.
phone. It's like, that's the proc.
So I want to move to our
No.
next faction, guys. Well, at least the next character that we're trying to highlight. So Padawan Obi-Wan. We kind of danced around it up until this point, but where you're thinking about using him in week 1. Surely not with Padme, right? Because if you're making the effort to get the Padme Cron, then those two wouldn't be together. You'd want to take advantage of the Padme level 9. I know it's not going to be an original or new thought here on this podcast to hear about people thinking about using him with JMK, using him with JML because Coin can call him and take advantage of this Cron doing big true damage. But the idea is that anything that's calling him to assist is going to trigger that true damage, right? So what do you guys think?
It is, however,
Honestly,
important clarification on the JML lead, and I tested this in Squad Arena. It reduces the basic damage on his leadership ability by 90%, so they're doing 10% of damage.
Mm-hmm.
It did reduce his true damage by 90% as well.
Okay, fair. Okay, good. So that's a poor synergy.
I was just saying, if I'm not putting him with Beck on defense, I'm using him with Basilisk Shan on offense.
Okay, I can dig that.
Or JKR. JKR lead has a ton of assists.
Oh, man,
Or
I would love
JKR.
JKR to go back
I-
on defense somehow. That would be fun.
Sasha, I tend to be the JKR GMY Jolie guy. So
Mm.
Basilisk, I do like Basilisk Cam sometimes
yeah.
with like a tank.
I would ask you how it works with JKL. Tass is a huge JKL lead. That would be a lot of fun to play with and
That
see
is
what that
interesting.
does.
Call all leadership.
Yeah.
And
Him
shock
doing-
for
him
somebody
doing
else
that.
that calls assists.
Man, you
Well, it's
put
also
like a
defense
shock T
down,
in there
right?
with that. Man.
And the offense up, you're giving offense up. JKL is already a monster. Put defense down on there, and then you're calling the assist of
problem is
having JKL monster slash somebody to death, dude. Is going
Who's
to
the
be
third?
awesome. I
Shock.
don't know. And
Surely
that's
Shock
why I
T,
asked,
right?
Shock
Shock
would be
T.
great.
Shock T?
Yeah.
Well,
That would
if
be
it
great.
is Shock T, not having the tank means that like Aiden just kicks the shit out of it.
Oh, not on defense. I'm talking
And now
about
that Doubt's gone, Aiden's off defense.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, whatever you want on offense. I thought we were talking about defense.
with Beck feels
You talk
right,
about
but
Ivan,
it's
but
like
yeah.
you can move it. But I like the JKL idea because I've watched Taz do some good things because he's built as a certain way, right? And he's got like a blazing fast shock that goes in. So having that masked in and then having offense up given out multiple times to JKL, and then you're putting defense down, those are big hits. And especially on this Kron build-up set, and if you're doing a Galactic Republic, having two on the team, pretty damn cool to see what you could do with that.
I agree.
Yeah, basically the Jedi splits get an additional wrinkle thrown in. We can just kind of just say that to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well, I think
well, I
that's
mean, I'm glad
100%
we
true.
highlighted a few different leaderships. Zid, Sasha, you guys got anything you want to throw in on this thought?
On Padawan Obi-Wan?
Yeah, about just, how you're planning on using them.
Yeah, so the JKR one, I mentioned that. I like that just because it involves so many assists. And then the other thing for JML, as much as his true damage is reduced, it is an extra attack. It is an extra source of damage. So against the shield generator and the Gungans, you have things like, Kyle Katarn's basic does multiple damage multiple times, and then Obi-Wan, it's an extra time of damage, so it's a stack even though it's reduced. So that feels like a kind of a marginal use of a new toy. particularly because he's got this exciting cron that should ramp his damage, but it's a possibility. How about you, Div?
Well, I'm still on the edge, really, of adding him onto the Keller and Beck team and going on a pivot there and actually not using the Keller and Beck Omicron. I mean, Datacron.
Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this, because it's going Galactic Republic. Is it a time where it's going to be Qui-Gon Jinn with Cam and Poby, and then you put the AoEs of, let's say, JKA and Gas on the Beck team? Yeah. Yeah, because then you put the 2 AoEs, and Dagger's talked about it before when we've talked about this. You've got to stop the AoEs because that shit hurts, right? And
that's a fun experiment. That's a neat actual split.
So, and you know that punch, dude, Poby slaps, man. He puts up huge numbers. And you get offense up with Cam on the back end of a big build with armor pen and offense. That's some good stuff.
Losing Anakin means Bad Batch trivializes it, and I don't see Obi.
I almost was trying to probably go with more. I was almost trying to probably go with an offense on this one, only because of you can control the fight. To your point of defense, that's a tougher one to sell, Dagger. So I agree. I'm looking at like you control the fight. You have the mass assist that's pushing in. Cam's giving you an added 400%. You're getting more speed, so you can really focus on the numbers. And that armor pin with the offense under a Qui-Gon Jinn, I would want to see what Poby can do off first hit, and then that second big one that he's going to follow up with.
And honestly, I wouldn't put Gas on Beck in 3s. I don't think, at least not week 1. I think Gas is going to be too good, either as its own team on defense or doing something on offense. Like, I think in 5s we're at the point where we can sacrifice Gas because we have less slots, but in 3s it's so much less forgiving that.
Yeah, no,
I won't call it wrong. It was just trying to put together. It was just trying to figure out the crazy splits, right? But I think you're right. That's not what we want to. You don't want to give all your cards away, but it's like the 2 AoEs would be crazy. Yeah. Like, who did you not hit? Yeah. Well, you're screwed.
So you have to mod like your Keller and Beck team specifically if you had like Gas in there.
Yeah,
just for
agreed.
The fact that it's basically a trash team that gets beaten by Maul Gar IC unless you have modded them fast enough and potent enough, and your opponent has a modded their Garden IC for tenacity to resist the daze. Basically.
Yeah, you're looking like a speed set. Yeah, the potency cross. You're looking at overhauling his mods for that team.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it isn't worth investing a ton of mods into. But as far as like a trick comp, I don't know. Like you'd be surprised how many people don't actually have their GAR ISC set up for business. So if you're willing to scout that, try it.
Also, well, I'll say it's also really hard to just like. So if all of Swigger decided to potency cross on their Gas, GAR ISC is like a 35% count.
Yeah.
Add Maul, it's higher, add PN, it's higher, whatever. I'm just saying, like, the amount of effort you have to go to get above the average Gas's potency is a crap ton of effort mod-wise. So I know I've been a huge proponent of this, and I know I've talked to a bunch of people about this, but it's like, just skip the tenacity build, because, like, if your opponent, like, even if your opponent does potency cross, like, you need to add, like, 150% potency to these characters, 150% potency, or sorry, tenacity, just to make them like function, and then you just like lose all your damage and you lose all enemies. I'm a big proponent of just like forget trying to 2-man shit. Just add the 3rd man and mod them for damage. Make them slap.
I do have a question real quick for the people, and we don't have it on the list, but I think it goes to between the sweat 13 and 15.
Sure.
Now that BKM's Kron is gone. But we are in the bulk where she does like to live longer and fight longer. How are you planning to use your BKM?
I would say almost exclusively on offense, and the only way I would ever consider to have it different is if I were putting it on defense with BAM and having something like a 360 plus armor to be the Kickstarter on that team. That would be the only condition I would try to put it on defense. Otherwise, you're not really having her set up a particular challenge. She isn't what she used to be on defense.
Well, with bulk, she is relatively prohibitive to troopers and 3Ds. Some of the things that would normally prey on her get split, like CLS and CLS plus. It depends on what you're. I can score. I can model world where I found defense. She is
Well, you're
definitely
breaking
not
up
a
a little
priority.
bit, just so you know.
Definitely one of the teams I will prefer.
Mr.
Sorry,
Robot.
she's definitely one of those teams I will prefer on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think so too. But I wanted to bring it up, right? Because we talk about the 13 and the 15. Yes, that was huge, but 13 made BKM a monster. That basic to auto kill was so much fun to use, and I'm sure we'll see at one point again. I think she's like the Afra, right? When Afra's Kron is here, Afra is levels above. Afra is going to have fun with this set, with the bulk. But right now, I think BKM will have fun with the bulk. But where her effectiveness is, I don't think there's anything on defense, in my opinion, for that. Because you can use such light teams to be able to kill that. CLS was destroying it before. There was things, but it's like, where can you use it? Well, she does like a fight that goes on for a long time. So does Grogu. ID12 Grogu loves that to go well, and so does Paz, right? These are three characters that are staples for the team that you can use, and it can't punch up. Because I also, what we didn't talk about with bulk is LV is back in my opinion, back in the money. And Ninth Sister, if you've got a Kron on the LV team, I think has weight to do some things that are going to play with stuff. So it's these combos where it's out there. I think BKM will work, but I feel like she's the Afra-esque build of Kron is gone. She's got some viability, but not like Kron BKM.
Fair. Guys, next one here. Queen Amidala. So, as far as speculation for week 2, I guess the most useful things to talk about would be how you want to mod her and how you're going to use her. So, I'll go first here. I mean, as far as modding goes, I had a chat with Dagger and a couple other folks over the last couple of days trying to figure out, you know, how do we maximize the survivability of the Handmaiden decoy? Let's say you were of the mind to do that. Dagger was able to rustle up a handy chart that showed that the health and protection scaling on the decoy is 1.0. So we're used to having a more favorable scaling for health on summoned allies, but this is equally favorable to health and protection. So strictly speaking, maximizing the summon's life total would be protection primaries. That being said, you know, I talked to Aesop, and he's still thinking, despite that, he's going to do health primaries because he wants to maximize the amount of protection up he'll be getting throughout the fight. And as far as, so you could kind of go either way, and then Dagger and I were talking a little bit about the merits of a crit damage triangle. Aesop personally won't be trying that because he thinks that the survivability is probably the better way to lean. But those are kind of some thoughts on modding. And as far as usage, certainly with the, you know, Padawan Obi-Wan Kron, just like all nasty new threats, I'm so tempted to just stick it bottom front and we'll see what happens in week 2.
It really is. That is...
It honestly just depends on what Master Qui-Gon does, right? Like I'm with Aesop. I know we talked about this before, Tass. I gave you roughly the same argument for the health primaries, is that the survivability just breaks way harder on Padme herself. Now the question becomes, does the decoy survivability matter more than Padme's? Or, sorry, Amidala's? And we won't know that till we get Qui-Gon and play with the team. I will say really quick, one thing I really enjoy about this team right now is that long ago, one of my complaints about 3v3 is that we don't have 3-man cores specifically developed to work together. And we've gotten a couple of those recently. And it makes me it makes me more inclined to enjoy 3v3 when there are teams that are kind of sort of built for 3v3. I'll just kind of add that in too.
I only want to know...
I think...
Go ahead.
Sorry. But I think health is the best on her. I think some kind of damage, offensive crit damage on Obi. And then we don't have Qui-Gon's kit to know what the fuck we're doing with that.
Yeah, so. I just want to know, if this is fucking Conquest Amidala, I'm going to shoot somebody. And then do we get Zealous Ambition to make her go away? Because if it's her from Conquest, man, we were going to have... this is probably one of the most infuriating leads I've seen for a thing where it required, without having the Zealous Ambition, right? Without having the thing like that,
I just need bounty hunters.
No, but that's what I'm saying, right? You have things to do it, but it's like without figuring that out, this was one of the ones where I was pulling my hair out because it was like, Jesus Christ, dude, that setup was so good.
If this is Conquest Amidala, it's just going to get concocked by bounty hunters. We can just move on with our day.
Yeah.
I do want to see what Poby does, right? I think Poby's going to have so much fun on that team, and then we get Master Qui-Gon. I think it's going to be obviously our 3-man staple, right? And then getting that taunt that is like a super taunt is cool. So I will be interested to see how this plays out, especially with the Kron built in. And as Dagger said, realistically, dude, really good stats. You can just base roll stuff, and as long as the numbers work out in the 3 and the 6, you're just tweaking some numbers that are already really good.
And a quick real tidbit on her. Remember that she does not spawn the pre-taunt except in GAC with an Omi.
But we can expect people will be investing in that, surely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mostly referring to like make sure you have your Omis ready. Make sure you know how the summon works, because these are things you're going to need to go, because you're going to see it on defense week 2, right? So I'm just
no doubt.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the Master Qui-Gon, but like he's not going to be a factor for week 2 regardless, right?
Oh, he will. We're getting him this week.
Oh, we are. So the absolute Giga Krakens can have him.
Sorry. We should be getting him this week because historically they're 2 weeks apart, and this is the second week since Obi.
Now, if you let's say you weren't going to spring for him, but you were inclined to use this team. Let's say you're where we are right now. You go ahead and you get her. You've got your Padawan Obi-Wan. You've got his Kron, but you are not jumping to early whale for this first week where we can use this new Queen Amidala.
Right.
So you're not going to go for the Qui-Gon. Who's your third?
Well, there's 2 groups of people. There are the people who got Qui-Gon and who got Obi-Wan and they're going to get Qui-Gon, and the people who didn't get Obi-Wan and who are not going to get Qui-Gon.
Right. Yes. So what if you're in that latter group?
I think what I'm saying is I think the Venn diagram of people who got Obi-Wan and the people who are going to get Qui-Gon it's like a full circle.
You shush. You're probably right. But let's say you were of the mind.
Well, no. So I think a better applied question is, where do you use your Queen Amidala if you don't have her team?
Yeah, if
because
you don't have Padawan.
Yes,
it does spawn a pre-taunt.
Is it 3? Now let me ask you: is it 3 people? And I want to make sure I was hearing it right. So obviously everybody's getting Amidala, so we keep that as your base unit, right? And then it's the ones who have Obi but won't have Qui-Gon. We have the ones who have Amidala but don't have
well, let me stop you right there, because Dagger's saying it's probably a meaninglessly small number of people who have gone to the effort to get the Padawan Obi-Wan but will not be going to the effort to whale out for the new Qui-Gon. So I take his point there.
If you spent a vault on Obi-Wan, you're going to spend the vault on Qui-Gon.
Well, that doesn't mean you have
right.
Well, it's not that you have to, but it's that most people who are in this position would.
See, then we're not counting me, because I can take the idea of I want to spread out my benefit. I don't want to have to go spend the full 3 amount or whatever, depending on when they drop the character for the lock. I want to take the full time to build up, because then I can still get my 7-star. So there is those people, and I probably am going to be one of them.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a very small number of people. So I think a better
we'll let TJ answer for it then, because we were going to speak to a more general case here. But TJ, you want to hit on it. So what are you going to do?
I want to whale, but I'm not going to whale to the point where I'm going to have him 7-star if I do it. I want to get the everyday, get the 15 shards or whatever it is. So I'll buy the vault to get him to the 5-star. But I won't. I seriously doubt I'll take the amount to get him, like, have to have him 7-star so that he's in for lock. I'll play the full week out. So if it doesn't come up then, I won't have him by lock, which means I would need the 3rd. So I would fall into that middle category.
Okay.
And at that point, to me, a 3rd character would be something like, I don't want you to hit Padawan or to Amidala, and I don't want you to hit Poby, so it's like a GK or something else, just to get in between, right? It's like, another disruption feels like the safest bet. A mace.
Well, you actually don't want to tank.
What I'm saying, I don't want you to hit. I know that you want to hit that, but my concern is if it goes out. But it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like I want to play with something. But that was the question. The 3rd person on the team for me would be something where it's like, I don't want you to hit Poby. Okay, that's fine. You don't. I may. I don't know yet, but that's what I'm saying.
Or maybe something like an Ayla Sakura if you weren't of the mind to have it.
Oh, then Ayla would be a good one, but that's what I'm saying. Like a mace that's a reactive one that makes you wait a turn or something else. Just I don't.
Yeah, I see. I see. What
I don't want
saying.
you to hit. I don't want you to hit my Poby. I don't want you to hit my Amidala. So it's like, what can I do to fuck with you? And that's where. But I think you're right too, Dagger. And what you're saying is like, you don't want to full on everything's protected and is doing this because you're hitting my character. But it's
Okay.
like maybe I want something that reactively screws you over in between, right?
All
Or
right,
maybe it's
so,
like a
so that's
TMY.
one alternative, but I want to move
Probably
to
just
Raptors.
Zaris.
Point. Sorry.
Oh, Zaris is a
If
good
you're
one.
looking for a third on defense, it's probably just
Yeah,
Zaris
that'd be
because
cool.
it triggers off the summon as well.
Zaris
Very
would be
fair.
good.
Summon.
Very
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, and also the cleanse, right? That would be awesome for her to hit in
Yep.
and equalize, and then also the cleanse. Yeah, Zaris would be another good one.
Well, we still have a bunch
But
of
honestly, I was
questions to
thinking
go.
a good place. Well, I was saying honestly, a good place for her would probably be on JMK. Fill that tank slot.
So you're saying you don't have either, and so
Yeah,
need
if
the
you
third
don't have
character.
either, if you only have her.
I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. That's very interesting.
All right.
That's a valid point, though.
I don't believe the pre has a GL requirement attached to it.
Very
I'd
good.
have to double check, but I do not believe that the pre-taunt has it. Has that
That's
type.
cool, man. I didn't even think about adding her to the JMK team. That is such a cool idea.
Now, I got a question in a YouTube comment here recently that I think was worth exploring here, and I promised I would squeeze it in here. What realistically beats a JMK team with the bulk level 3, damage reduction off TM level 6, and Padme level 9, assuming Padme? So we're assuming here that this person is dealing with JMK, Padme, and Cat. Let's assume the most, what I would think is the most dangerous. It seems a little weird without a
If you have
tank.
a faster,
Nine
if you have a
threes.
faster, if you have a faster cat, you win every time.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Now, if you threw
Otherwise,
this,
Slacker,
now let's say that let's give this YouTube commenter the benefit of the doubt and say that he was asking for 3s and for 5s. It sounds like for 3s, it's not really much of a problem, dude. There's a couple ways to get around it, like because there's no tank, right?
Inquisitors should still work in 5s. I've already beaten one in arena.
Okay,
No
okay.
wins.
So there you go. I mean, Padme cleansing, of course, forces a death mark if you're fighting the team with Reva lead. That would be a fair way to pop it in 5s. Anything you guys want to throw in on this notion about like JMK paired with this Padme level 9, the TM reduction
SLK
6?
still a monster, man. I don't care what you're doing. I just SLK controls the fight, dude, and his swipes make people sad.
SLK versus JMK is quite a slam dunk these days. It is historically
so-
a very difficult fight,
Yeah,
but
I'm
not
sorry.
right now.
He was the moneymaker, dude, and now I out of everything that happened, I think Dagger's right. Padme for utility when we get to 5s. Holy hell, the JMK team with Padme that's it.
Mhm.
That is chef kiss. But SLK is such a winner for what this did because you don't have to. I must have this level 6. Nope. SLK level 9, and you walk in and people are sad.
Kapow.
You think about your life choices.
Also, the other fun fact is that JKR, JKL armorer just absolutely shit cans the Special Forces Cron and the Slacker Cron on defense. So you're not setting this shit on defense, which means everybody's going to have this shit for offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's your Sid 6.7. Fuck 2.0,
Yeah.
right? Sid is cool, but have you met SLKR, right? It's like that's way better because he'll solo shit. He'll take people with him if you want to be crazy and give up banners. But he's all about leave me by myself, put me with a team. You're going to die.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit questionable. Like, I know that the JKR JKL armor trick is like all about mitigating SLKR's damage because he's usually so heavily focused on critical damage.
Mm-hmm.
But his offense ramp is just insane, so I don't know, it might just fuck them up.
Yeah, it'd be
By the
interesting
way.
to see if you could take him out on the cheap. But that might be an opportunity. I don't know. Does Poby fit in there?
I
for something?
personally,
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
personally am 8 for 8 versus double tank with JKR JKL.
With
armor.
this current Crown set, you've had the opportunity to test.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
It's
Yeah,
like
everyone in
really-
my
that is
there's a lot of people in my
encouraging.
squad arena that have. Yeah, like I'm 8 for 8. I mean, I also have an R9 JKR,
Yeah,
an
yeah.
R8 armorer, and an R9 Bastilishan. Right, so it's not like I'm coming in here with like.
Bum stuff. Yeah.
Sorry.
But I think Dagger's right, I think I understand the want to try to put SLKR on defense. I still think there's stuff that's going to beat it pretty easily. It's a
Yeah.
solved
In threes, it's
case.
probably harder.
All right.
It might be harder.
But to answer your question, right, I want to make sure we do it justice. SOKR still feels like the top dog. Utility-wise, when we get to 5s,
Jabba.
There's not much that beats the JMK team with Padme, and I think that's the point to the question. But SOKR is toppling all things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't walk away clean.
Yeah, so Jabba's not a clean fight, but it wins. Lord Vader's kind of clean-ish. Because they can't get them all right away, but it's always going to be bad banners, so that's not going to be the best option. Inquisitors has looked promising, but I've only done one fight, and it didn't feel particularly difficult in Arena. But that's also my Inquisitors the Inquisitors also have a Kron this set, so
yeah, much more powerful than last time.
Yeah. So I think that there's so the TJ's point too, I'll let Sasha and Zid also talk about it a little bit if they have any experience. But yeah, I think we're going to have answers to it, good answers to it, well before 5 starts. 3s is going to be the Wild West. Just if you're scared, take Slacker.
Yeah, so it seems that even though we're radically boosting the power of Slacker, and that otherwise would tempt us to put it on defense, the value seems just so extreme to reserve it for offense. There is nothing that can withstand him. So, yeah.
It just feels so solved is my problem, and that's what I come back to.
Well, given what Dagger just said, I mean, if it with the full kit and caboodle and Kron and all of it, and you're still going to JKR it if you see it on defense, won't be me. Won't be me.
Not for what you give up, dude. Not for giving up a 58. That feels bad.
What's up, Zid? What's up, Zid?
Well, it depends a little bit, like, versus 3v3 and 5v5, of course, that's the first question. But then you can still pull JKR, JKL from your opponent. Like, that's not impossible.
Sure.
With your front wall.
Sure.
So you can still build a trap with him in the back.
100%.
I think the other piece you have to take into account, though, is we still have Jedi Bulk. And while you may not have the JKR, JKL, JML is still a monster with the 100% on top of a big, like, these teams are still doing these things with this previous set. I know we're talking about the new one, but don't discount that there aren't things out there that are still going to work. Things like, cheesing, resistance are still a thing, man, that we've done, and we've seen how cheap it is and that they can punch up. So there's that. And we don't know how this is going to interact because we don't have doubt that stops a lot of things. So just be aware, just because we're not talking about it now, that week 1 you're not going to see some interesting setups. Like Dagger kept singing from the hilltops about how he took junk Zori teams to dominate top stuff. You don't have doubt to stop the buffs now. So if you can't hit the team down, JTR with Zori or Finn with Zori and some cheap piece of POS that's doing the work, doing God's work, and you're taking out GLs or something, it's a thing still that we don't know how this is going to play.
Also, I was talking the other day, just as a quick anecdote, I was talking the other day with a couple of people who are more mid-game, and they were saying how they liked this set specifically because we've got enough Datacron sets and a lot of people's rosters are big enough where this Datacron set doesn't shift the meta, or on its surface, does not shift the meta a ton because good teams are getting crons and it's not really lifting bad teams.
That's fair.
So it's giving people a few months off to work on whatever they want to work on. And I think that that's worth pointing out because a lot of the stuff we have on these crons are all known quantities. The stats, the level
that's
3s.
Cool.
It is worthwhile to note that for Galactic Republic, and I don't know if anybody else this applies to in this set, but the damage reduction based on turn meter, this is an opportunity that for any of those teams where that level 6 applies, to put as much speed into them as possible to sustain the amount of time that you're spending. With high turn meter, because as far as your point, I don't think the level 9 seem as intuitively like meta shaping in this new set as 14 was. So I'll agree with you, Dagger, but the 6 is sneaky. The 6s can be very sneaky with this stuff.
It's got some crazy setup.
I was more referring to I think it's cool that CG didn't shoehorn in a Sidious to this set, where it makes people who maybe didn't have it do something to it.
Yeah, the closest thing they've got is the Special Forces TIE Fighter pilot, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's 2 relic levels because he's a slacker.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I know we're getting later on in the recording, and I wanted to move into our patron questions. So, thanks, guys, in advance. I appreciate you guys being active on Discord, getting these in, and appreciate your patience. We're sure to get them in now. What are you saying, Dave?
Is task like choppy for anybody else?
Ooh, no, I think
no, Tass, there's times when you're breaking in and out. It's just like second here and there, but it is happening. That's what he's talking about.
Well, okay, good to know. We'll try and work through. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and dig into the patron questions here. So first, from Andrew, how are you splitting your first order teams this season? Well, I think we've done a pretty good job here covering that in the show. So I'll refer you to that earlier part of it. I don't want to tie you up because we actually went into fairly exhaustive detail. But you did ask about like the Faust with Lord Vader for the extra 50% offense and armor pen. Did you guys have any thought on that? I didn't know that Faust had some type of viability with Lord Vader. Let me take a look.
It's not because it's the lead. It talks about the lead.
Yeah,
and the leader gains
the level 9.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not first order dependent.
Yeah.
And so it's just you get a super thick tank, whether it's for C or LV or some other purpose. Super thick dark side tank that provides 50% offense to the leader. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. What do you guys think about it? Would you? I mean, we talked about how we'd use Faust already with strictly first order applications. You think that there's some merit to this?
To LV though,
yeah,
the way the tie-in because it's also pushing. Right, I know, but it's like to me, I would rather if I want to put anything, I want to put Ninth. I think Ninth has some awesome stuff that's happening within the language and the bulk. Putting that together with LV sounds pretty nutty, and I think everybody agrees in what format I've seen. It's like you want the third and you want the ninth, right? We can do it.
Why ninth with Lord Vader though? Because my initial reading, just a naked reading, is Inquisitorius allies get the max health and immunity to ability block. She does an extra 20% bonus true damage, which I guess you could exploit with a remod, adding some offense onto her. But if any enemy has 6 stacks of Purge when she would be defeated for the first time, blah, 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 blah. It's like she sustains herself and removes turn meter. So you see this as being such a bigger gain for Lord Vader than those stats?
I'm looking at the stats.
Ninth is just kind of a filler. She's kind of a potato.
It's a cool idea.
I don't see this moving the needle.
I just feel like it's a cool idea. But do I think it's meta-defining? Absolutely not. But if the question is, do I want to put Foss with LV?
Yeah.
I don't see. I understand I want to give him more, but he's more of a sustained type of thing. And what this sounds like it's doing isn't really.
No. This is. I mean, I really think there's some kind of teeth to this because it says the allied leader gains 50% armor, penetration, and offense. Sure. Leader also gains crit damage stacking until the end of the encounter. So it's not a lot of bulk, but like you're bringing him with a lot of bulk, and you're going to have the bulk level 3. So you're going to just ramp in a really hideous way with this. This is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's cool.
Good way for undersizes with Lord Vader, where you're not quite sure if you can solo, but with that added.
That's
kind of cool. Yeah,
I can see that. If you're going offense and we're trying to do
that's an excuse to Relic 9 your Faust if you're like me. Like I've had him Relic 8 forever, and it's been great at Relic 8. But man, to make sure that you could keep him and not have him die for a 2-man on offense, nice.
Also, another quick thing about Einster, just put her on Seer as that extra dark side for the.
I think that's a really good.
That's a cool idea.
20% extra health.
Yep.
And then that translates into protection up from Seer.
Somebody called it out, and I think I would ask you this because of the bulk of where we're at. Faust with Faustcron with C.
Maybe. I mean, since we're in the mood to think about non-first order applications of the Cron, there's some wealth to experiment with.
Armor pen doesn't really.
I'm not looking at that.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not worried about the armor pen.
I really think. Well, I mean, TJ, I do think it would be a waste, right? Because it's very much a physical attacker's benefit from that first order.
Yeah.
Cron.
The idea is just cool ideas to add to a subsequent piece, right? Because a lot of times when you're looking at a C, if you need something, you might try to put a tank with it. Foss being able to permanently get the taunts and to do the stuff and getting protection up would be a pretty good disruptor to give you the time you need on certain things.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's just fun, unique ideas.
Yeah, it is a unique idea, but it seems like a squandering of what the stats are in terms of what's being offered. Because C doesn't care about crit damage, and armor penetration. So, I take your point, maybe if you had otherwise boxed yourself into a corner where you have only these pieces, but yeah.
It's an interesting thing to do with Faust. Because you're saving both for offense, it frees up your Mandalorians to split however you like. I would just take Gar ISC off of Maul, put this bitch onto Maul. Because the turn meter from the taunt goes to all allies, not first order allies. And giving Maul that offense
that's a good one too.
Brutal.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one too.
All right, guys, next question. How does a Datacron split look when it comes to Galactic Republic Jedi? Will you be leaning more towards the Jedi level 6s or the Galactic Republic level 6s? Obviously, level 9s will dictate in the main, like, you know, for the most part, but all else being equal, which way would you go?
It depends on the team, really. Like, for example, I think the Qui-Gon team still wants the double damage at full health and the defense under.
And same if you're going to do Gas 501st?
No, I would do GR for Gas 501st.
Okay, you would do the damage reduction.
Being able to hit that dude, he gets above 50%, and now he's taking no damage.
Yeah, and counter-attacking,
And you give him bulk, and you give him offense, and you give him armor pit. No, that does not feel like a combination that is like, that's even a question. That dude will never go anywhere. He will kill everybody and sit there and take all of the hits.
What about JMK? Let's move like one galactic team to the next. JMK is going to get what? Bulk? Okay.
I don't see how you don't, because now Cat.
Hold on. It depends on the build. Because I think Galactic Republic is going to be the default if you're putting it on defense. But on offense, I still think the Kit Kron is super strong. And I really think that one depends on
how you intend to apply it.
Here's the thing we would do, right? It's like, it's who are you intending to do the work? Something that gives Cat more viability is always a plus, in my opinion. JMK really is always usually the damage dealer in the team, right? He's ramping his stuff. You're stacking his the stacks of the buildup on him when you're doing it to try to speed him up to ult. But giving him viability to sit around, make your Cat last longer, seems like a great idea. And the ability to bypass taunts and all the other good stuff also feels like a really good idea.
Fair.
Yeah, that was the biggest reason bulk on defense is because you make your Cat super fast and then she ignores taunt.
And if you can't kill him, and this is why I love what Dagger said about this is the set of double duty, right? You can put it on offense and you do it to where you can bypass taunt. You go on defense and you add the 75% if they're above, you know, when it comes to turn meter. It's like, damn, that sucks, but that's such great ideas because you can flip it around, right? And then next time now, haha, I'm going to bypass taunt. You don't get to hide me. And that means your Cat if your Cat's faster, like Dagger said, your Catalyte's coming off. And they will always go after your Cat if they can. And if they can do that, you're screwed.
It's fair. Now, as far as Padme lead team goes, it goes without saying. You're just going to go with the Padme Crown from Set 15. No questions asked. Kelleran. Now, I know there's very few players that are saving him for offense. So to Dagger's point, surely you'd want to, you know, you're picking your fight on offense. So you could make do with the Jedi Crown, take the extra offense, and make sure that you can pound on through. But what about defense, guys?
No, Beck has a level 9 from the previous set. Why would you do anything besides
and it's really good.
Well, the option would apply. That's why we're discussing it. I'm saying, like, surely if you were going to use him on offense, you would definitely use the Beck Crown. But if you're going to put him on defense, it's still Beck for you easy.
I would still use... The Beck Crown still adds more survivability and more damage.
Yeah, it's excellent, but you know,
people are choosing Beckron over Qui-Gon Jinn with an Omicron because it's so powerful with that level 9. That is a tough thing to beat because if he gets to go, you have no team. That makes you sad.
All right, we've talked a lot. Hold on, let's get to Sasha and Zid if they have anything to add to this stuff, because otherwise TJ and I, being the chatty cats as we are, will just overrun.
Exactly.
Fair.
No, I agree. I like the. When it comes to a Beck squad, I like the Beck Kron over a Galactic Republic. I'm happy to be using the Galactic Republic stuff when Set 14 finally goes to dust. So I'm glad that I think Killer and Beck will still have sort of a leg to stand on then, which is cool. But I like the Jedi stuff. And my sense is the jury's still out. I like the survivability of the Galactic Republic stuff, but even on the defensive side, the Jedi stuff, it's so hard that the ability to just get like a surprise kind of like one shot, like some burst damage that not only maybe takes banners out, but could maybe wipe a critical portion of the squad. Like I kind of like that Jedi offense stuff even on D. So that's where I am, but I'm excited to sort of mess around with both. And one more, and then I'll pass over to Zid. The one that I'm really kind of intrigued with, and I think is really cool on the Galactic Republic side, the damage reduction is fascinating, but the one that has the protection disruption allows you to ignore taunt. I think it's if you've got protection up or whatever. I'd have to double check. That is so powerful. That's really, I just kind of had forgotten how liberating it is when you can just kind of go after anything you want, and it makes a number of counters much more effective. How about you, Zed?
So, for the off week here, when we go into the first week, before we actually unlock Queen Amidala, I'm really tempted to try and add Padawan Obi-Wan onto the Keller and Beck team and actually go for the Galactic Republic damage reduction level 6 with bulk level 3, of course. And I'll let Padawan basically with his level 9 and like my like 300 to 400% armor pen on the Kron do the job of dealing the damage, whereas a level 6 with the damage reduction may impede some counters such as small Gar IC and whatnot. I'm really excited to see what that can do for the 1 week where we don't have Queen Amidala. And other Galactic Republic things I'm maybe trying is maybe Bad Batch with a damage reduction level 6 and see if you can clock that right against, let's say, like Qui-Gon, and you have like above 50% Terror meter when going against those guys, and just survive that opening salvo, and then you might be able to turn around the fight pretty nicely into your favor.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can I ask real quick? And I want to make sure I ask everybody for this, which is cool, because this is the perfect idea and goes to this. Tass and team, we talked about Jedi, you talk about Galactic Republic, and I want you to answer it too, but I would ask you the same question, dark side or Sith? I don't think we're looking at that, but the Sith has some cool applications, bypassing taunt and doing things like that from this previous set. How does that work out when you have such huge bulk as well, where like if you do the Treya Savage setup, she works good almost under both. She has both applications, going to be cool. But what would you look at? Like Malgus, right? Malgus is a great example of you can build a Kron with like 80% additional health as a sidebar, and him being able to bypass taunts and give you the big slappies are a huge thing. So how does that look for the team as well?
My instinct is ignore taunt is too good to pass up on.
It would be all of them, right? But it's like all of your Sith characters, because there are Sith teams out there that you can build and use. Like it's the C setup, right? Obviously not. I'm not talking about the man, right? We're not talking about the man, the myth. But it's just like all of the Sith stuff. It's like there are multiple ways to play with your Sith out there. So which one becomes the better option when you're taking your Sith team? Is it a Sith Kron because that bypass taunt, or is it these huge punchy numbers that you get to do when it's a bulk Kron as well?
Yeah, I think for me it would be Sith, but I'd be interested to hear you guys out, because I think I can get big enough, like if it's a Malgus team, I'll just make sure that Kron has enough health on it. Like, if I have a 70% health Kron, that 70% health Kron is doing more than having, a couple other dark side allies with a bulk Kron. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and like, for teams on defense with doing debuffs, like, being able to ignore taunt is godlike. That's it for me.
The ignore taunt's not as relevant, but you hit the if you can provide more health for your team than a bulk Kron, go with that. In threes.
Yeah, in threes it's going to be difficult to provide more
health
with just 3 characters bringing up the bulk versus like an insane Kron like Tass mentioned. So, and of course there's going to be and you're going to have the element of randomness on debuff heavy Sith teams where they can ignore taunt. Like at least in 5v5, I really love that for the Treya team, where they have like Pain from Scion and whatnot, and like a bunch of debuffs going around, so then Nihilus can just delete anyone really. And then taking that into account, and then same for of course the Malgus team, where he will spread doubt when people like cleanse the doubt off, then you'll get the fear and more doubt on the field. And there's like plenty of debuffs bouncing around, so I would probably stick to that as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dagger.
Oh yeah. I was saying like the Sith Crons are still really good. I think there are spots on offense where you want bulk on Treya, and I think there are spots on. I think if you're placing on defense, you're going to put bulk in 5s on Malgus. So I think the trade-off is just better for the sides. But yeah, I think if you're using these two on offense, the ignore taunt is just really powerful.
So if I can ask you, so I'm gonna give you the same question then, and I would apply, since we're talking Malgus, are you splitting your Sith Empire? Because bulk with a lot of offense, Darth Revan's really gonna like that, and then having that 40, is that gonna work for you? Is it worth it to do it? Is it worth the squeeze?
Not for me.
Not on defense. Not on defense for sure. If you're saving it all for offense, make your decisions as you go.
Well, what if you want to try? So you're saying that if it's 3s, so let's say it's 3s, right? So then it's still just Malgus, Darth Revan, and BSF.
I'm saying if you're saving it for offense, you can split them however you want. If you're putting
I'm saying defense. I'm saying defense.
Right. We're getting mired down here. I'm cutting this one off.
Oh.
Let's move to this last question here. If it's not too late to ask, with the expiration of the Empire Datacron, what does the DTMG team look like now? How effective a team will it be? We covered this earlier, but we'll just restate. Because doubt is gone, doubt is gone. Turn meter teams are back, so you can expect that a lot of opponents are gonna try and do stuff like that on defense, and you could save your DTMG to use against that. Alternatively, you could set it down and see what it draws. We'll have to reestablish what's gonna stomp it in the current meta. But certainly the future is bright on offense because, he loves fighting anything that is trying, if the enemy is trying to accelerate its own turn meter or manipulate DTMG's team's turn meter, he's fine with all of that. And the longer the fight goes, the better off he is. Did you guys have anything you wanted to throw in on that?
Week 1.
Offense.
Put it on defense for week 1. If you want to catch your opponents off guard, for the matter if they're gonna try something new, as they see the Kron's gone and they think they can go cheap, or then I'm pretty sure still gonna pull similar counters like Malgus beforehand. People are just gonna go onto their old habits, but there is that off chance for people to try something stupid.
I make mine simple.
Yeah, if you're gonna set it. Gideon Scout.
And in my opinion, you have Gidme back, and you can split it. So you have Gidme back. So as long that's a cool thing to have in your back pocket, which means you can do a Gidme OG.
If you're gonna
that's the ultimate one.
It's gonna be the Gideon and Scout. If you don't set that, there's people are gonna go back and look, and they're just gonna add Reddit and do this and that to it. It's gonna be a super cheap counter. So just put both Gideons down. It takes like 20 points off the win percentage for Night Sisters and for Adrad. Like, don't think you're gonna get cute and catch your opponent.
Yup.
All
right. Well, one last question here. We wanted to highlight here real quick, and I know Dagger wanted to make a note of this, about the Techcron itself, the level 9. I think that's maybe one of the only ones we didn't really discuss. What did you want to highlight here for this one, Dagger?
Oh, I just wanted to say that Bad Batch with bulk, think of Wrecker with bulk, and damage reduction.
Yeah.
I think Bad Batch is going to be very, very impactful in both 3s and 5s, and I think it's just something to keep track of as you're like trying to assign teams, because I think a lot of us have just kind of forgotten Bad Batch exists at times.
But I don't think it needs the 9, which is cool. I think we don't even need the 9, which is awesome. Is that you could get away with it as long as you got damage reduction.
I mentioned the tech level 9 just to enforce that we were going to discuss Bad Batch, not specifically tech level 9 is like that oppressive. But it is extra damage on tech though, because he does additional damage equal to his potency percentage, which most of us probably have around 150 to 170, and that's a lot.
It's going to be significant.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think we can all agree the level 6 though, right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You broke up there. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, I said they're the first version of
No.
Mr. Sexy Robo.
No.
RoboCop.
You done wandered off now into the woods.
No, I'm driving, but I was gonna say like actually some rays back when with bulk.
Ray with bulk.
So-
Yeah. That'll be interesting to consider in the future. Mm-hmm.
No.
No, you
can't
were
hurt the
absolutely
San Francisco.
unintelligible. You were
Yeah,
just absolutely unintelligible.
You give this man his roses for gets his E for effort for trying to put it
That's
out
right.
there.
I tried to interpret what you said into something that vaguely resembles English. I did
Yeah.
the best I could. I see you're trying to type something out. Try and get it in there for you. Bad Batch was killing Ray when they had bulk. Okay, yeah, a fair point. A fair point.
Yeah.
Probably
When you got
though.
that good, when you got the good record, man, who can take the punches? Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, we made it to the end. This was content-packed. We covered a lot. We really went everywhere. And I know that Sasha had to just jump out of the call here. He's got a busy afternoon ahead. So thanks, Sasha, for being, sticking it out here to the bitter end, pretty much. And, of course, thank you so much to Dagger and TJ, always joining. And, of course, again, to the special guest, Zid. We saw each other a bunch last season. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other a bunch this season, but this has been really good prep. I myself picked up 3 things here to bring into the new week, so I'm looking forward to it. Any final comments from you guys before I go ahead and outro us? Anything you wanted to say to the people before we wrap this up?
Well, fuck you, Dagger. That's all.
Take it to your grave. We can take that to the grave, all of us. Yep. Fair.
It is universal. It is universal. And I know Dagger probably had to drop something like that, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Tass's hat being dumb and or stupid and or stinky. Always have to end the comments
Very
on
good.
that.
We can represent Dagger's comments with that.
I know he'll be mad. Yeah, he'll be mad.
Reasonable approximation. How about you, TJ? Speaking for yourself strictly.
Dude, I'm excited, man. I like where we're going with it, right? It's fun to talk about this, and it feels like a fun going into threes with all the thoughts, right? With the bulk and not double bulk. I like what we're gonna do, man, and like to see the new teams and getting that Padme team or the Amidala team. I think it's going to be a really cool season of threes to do a lot of different things.
All right. Well, guys, I guess it's about time for me to wrap this up. So, if you want to catch me streaming live on Twitch, come find me, twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, if you're watching this, you're seeing it on YouTube, so you're already aware of the Tassinix Gaming channel. I will make sure that I include the link to the Set15 Datacron video that I put out recently, since we refer to it a variety of times throughout the video today. So we'll get that on in. But let's see, on my YouTube channel, we have stuff covering the Datacrons. We have my VODs for my stream uploaded with chapters added for easy browsing. Of course, the Plotting and Scheming podcast, as seen here. And then I just started making short videos, trying to keep them to 15 minutes or less, about characters that are just coming up to be free-to-play farmable. So you'll be able to take advantage of whatever evolutions there have been in the modding since the initial release and the whales got in early. We'll try and set you up right just as you're able to catch these characters. So look out for more of that from the channel. Give us a like, give us a follow. Appreciate it all. And of course, if you're enjoying this so much and you've just got some cash burning in your pocket and it just wouldn't make you let's see, how could I put this? It wouldn't put a frown on your face to just chuck it at your boy. Check out my Patreon. So check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC streamer, there is something of value there to you. We'll talk about the patrons here at VIP Access. You get in on the ground floor here at $5 a month. You get early access to my YouTube exclusive content, access to the dedicated patron chat and voice channels that I'm usually lurking in. So if you got burning questions, that's where you'd want to come find me. Thank you so much here at VIP Access to Andrew, White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Ray's Malbus, Brock Thudsteel, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cow 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions Twitch, Sweens14, and Darth QPPMG. Now, moving up, if you're an intelligence-focused player, you're trying to get more information about what the opponent's up to, you want to check out the bots bundles, all right? So a VIP Access Plus, it's the $5 tier plus, another $5 gets you patron-level access to OmegaBot. If you ever see on my streams, it's that detailed scouting report I'll go over on each and every one of my opponents. Really helps me get an at-a-glance sense of what they're about, what kind of proportion of offense and defense they like to run. Really gives me a strong read of their tendencies. Absolutely love it. So thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam taking advantage of that bundle. Moving up to VIP Access Premium, this is the double bot value bundle. So you get the OmegaBot access, you get the access to Task House, and of course, you get the bundle with Hot Utils Patreon. So that is the premier tool for, inventory management. You can mass move your mods and loadouts, mass slice them, sell them, all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of other features baked into it for guild-related functions, but for me, that's the bread and butter. Thank you so much to Quig, Ivanek, Sir Boss, and Trevor Boy Gaming for seizing on that. And at the top of the heap, there is only one Nomad's Reaper, sitting in Jester's Club Elite. By far, my most generous supporter over the last couple of years, just pops in from time to time and drops thousands, tens of thousands of biddies, sometimes hundreds of subs on the community. Extraordinary generosity. Really appreciate it, man. It means a lot. It's making the dreams come true. So thank you. All right, and of course, last but never least, we have to talk about the special thanks to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me the mic that I'm speaking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly on the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you so much for all of your work here in the background, managing our daughter, who is always trying to get up in Dad's grill while he's trying to be halfway decent, making content for a phone video game. So thank you so much for running interference. And of course, to my co-hosts on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. Some weeks are easier than others. This week was tough. Between the four of us and a guest to wrangle 5 schedules together across 2 continents and an ocean. It was quite a challenge, but damn if we didn't get it done. And I'm delighted with the quality of today's show. So thank you guys so much for making that sacrifice to do what we do. Couldn't do it without you. All right, heading back on over to the main scene to close us out. Yeah, it's going to be a super fun first week. Going to try and get myself a few more crons and make a splash. Hopefully not lose to Zid too many times here this season. Try and do good for myself. But until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.